Welcome to the Empowered Soccer Society, where we believe in working smarter, not harder, so you have more time and energy for the things that truly matter. Each week, we share a powerful strategy with a new guest expert to help you achieve more with less effort. If you want to get these weekly tips, subscribe to the channel, follow the podcast, and be sure to sign up for our weekly email newsletter. Everything is linked below. Let's get into this week's tip.
Hi, I'm Dania. I'm a certified executive coach and a mindfulness trainer, and I'm the founder of Fierce Muse Coaching. I help professional women over 40 to conquer self doubt, to overcome imposter syndrome, and ascend into the very best version of themselves so they can lead both professionally and personally from a place of confidence and clarity. Today, I am sharing one of my favorite hacks with you, one that I've created to help me while making important decisions, personal and professional, and the one that I use with my clients. So let's go. So, the hack I'm about to share with you today is called the Inner Critic Crusher Blueprint. It's a mouthful, I know, but it's 7 steps that are really going to make all the difference when you are trying to make a decision, hopefully from a place of clarity and confidence and authenticity instead of having your inner critic make that decision for you. The reason why I thought this critic would be good to share because it's quite relevant as we all have the same problem, and I'm going to talk to you in a second about what that is. And then I'm going to go through the 7 steps, and hopefully you will learn how to use them and implement them in your own life and tell me how it goes. Okay, so here we go. We all have a problem. We all have the same problem. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt that you're being held back in life because of kind of an inner chatter, an inner voice, negative inner thoughts that keep telling you you're not good enough? What if you fail? Maybe you shouldn't try. Maybe we should just stay there where we are. If you've ever felt that, you are not alone. For me, the inner critic was loudest through my divorce, while I was raising my 2 daughters on my own, and in my career as it has changed and progressed over the years. The inner critic, while I was trying to launch this business, kept saying, well, you can't do this and you're going to fail. And I almost believed her. And that's the danger, is that we come to a place where we identify with that voice so much so that you start thinking it's you, but it is not. The reason why I bring that up is because we all think the inner voice is something you cannot change or you cannot control, when in fact you can. Because here's a nugget: you are not that voice. You are you, and your inner critic's voice is merely the voice of the thoughts you're having. The moment you realize that there is a space between the two, this is the place where you can capture the narrative and take it back from your inner critic and make it your own. Why do we have an issue with the inner critic? Because as we identify with her as ourselves, which we shouldn't, it tends to hold you back, it tends to magnify and intensify your fears, and it tends to undermine your confidence. None of these things are where we, as professional, driven, confident, authentic, fierce muses, want to be. So let's talk about this hack for a second. So it's 7 steps, and I want to just go very briefly through the 7 steps with you and then go into detail on how to implement each one of them. The first and most critical step is you have to have awareness. You have to spot the critic. Then, after that, there's the pause and breathe, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Then there's challenging the narrative, inserting positive and reaffirming reframes and affirmations, having gratitude, compassion, and kindness for yourself, the power pose, and then a check in with yourself before and after. It sounds like it's a whole bunch of stuff to remember and it's going to take too long. And perhaps you're saying, I don't have time for this. And how am I going to remember this while I'm in the middle of making a decision? Nonsense. It is so easy. By the time you decide to practice it a couple of times, it takes 2 to 3 minutes. And then it becomes internalized so that whenever you're feeling like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not sure if I want to make this decision or I'm not sure how I feel about it, then you deploy the 7 step hack. And at the end of that, hopefully, it will be you, the empowered muse, will be making the decision and not your inner critic. So let's go through the 7 steps and try them on for size. Okay, step one, the awareness. Here we're trying to spot the critic and we're creating just a little bit of space, pardon, so that you can separate yourself from the negative thought. So remember, you are you and the negative thought is just that, a thought. You are not your thought. So at that moment, you catch yourself and you're like, wait, I think I'm having one of these negative thoughts. I am not the thought. You want to become aware when the critic is hijacking the way you think and interjecting her nonsense, because this awareness creates the space where you can deploy the next steps and bring back the narrative to yourself, where you can be empowered and make the decision. So, what is step two? Once that you're aware of what's going on, you pause and breathe. It's automatic. So, you just take a second and you take a deep breath in for four, you hold it for four, out it goes for four. And the reason we're doing that is it's a mindfulness technique. You're effectively short circuiting the thought and its effect on your nervous system. Have you ever caught yourself holding your breath when you're nervous or upset or stressed? That's exactly what this is. We are trying to come out of our mind and drop into our body and then breathe and give yourself just that second or two to separate yourself from the thought and allow you to take control. And here comes step three. And this is where the shift happens. Here you are challenging the narrative. The challenge is you're asking yourself, well, the inner critic said, oh, if you fail at everything, you always mess everything up. You're not going to get this right. You always get everything wrong. You ask yourself, is that true? Can I think of times when I've had achievements, small wins, big wins, incontrovertible truth, evidence that in fact I did do it correctly? When you ask yourself that, you're looking for evidence to disprove the negative thought. And when you think this way, of course you don't mess everything up and you don't always, not know what you're doing. These are just blanket statements that have nothing to do with the truth. So challenging the narrative is empowering. This is where you are taking control of the narrative back, which prepares you for the next step. We are going to get a reframe. We're going to spin this, but you're going to be spinning it rather than the inner critic is. You're replacing your inner critic's negativity with positive affirmations. For instance, instead of I'm not good enough, how about saying, I'm learning, I'm growing? You are rewriting the inner dialogue. You're replacing the negativity with positive affirmations and you're replacing them with truth, your affirmations and reframes from your own truth. And this is where empowerment happens, right? Because it's not, just feel good affirmations that have no value in your own life. They're actually truth from within you. So, this is again another way to grab the wheel out of her crazy hands and make sure you're driving your decision down the road you're choosing. And here we go with step number five. This step is important because it's not only an injection of gratitude, but it's taking a second to give yourself some compassion and some kindness, treating yourself with kindness, which shifts your vibration. Gratitude is the highest vibration. At this step, you want to think of 2 to 3 things or people for which you are grateful. What this does is it takes you out of thinking just about yourself for that moment and think about all the other wonderful things or people in your life. And it brings a sense of fullness and a sense of um, gratitude. And what it does is it stops your inner critic from isolating you and making you feel like you live in a state of lack or in a state of being alone or being isolated. And then it shifts your gratitude and gets you ready for step number six, which sounds silly, but it absolutely is not. And it's scientifically proven to work. And it's the power pose. Here we are back in our bodies and we are trying to communicate the strength and the embodied confidence to our mind. So you're going to sit or stand tall, shoulders back. You're going to hold this pose for a couple minutes and you're going to embody the strength and the confidence that you want your mind to have, that you want to have as a momentum for the decision. And That's about it. Your seventh step, your final step, is a quick check-in with yourself. You want to check in and see, how do you feel now? Hopefully more empowered, more confident, having more clarity versus the way you felt before, which perhaps was more confused and kind of all over the place and not knowing whether this decision is the right one or who effectively is making this decision on the inside. So keep practicing these seven steps because progress builds momentum. And once these steps, and once you do it a couple of times, you can prove to yourself that this blueprint actually works. And then it becomes automatic so that whenever you feel like, I'm having one of these thoughts, you can deploy the steps and then hopefully be able to make better, more empowered decisions that reflect who you really are. Which brings me to my next point. You were kind enough to stay through the whole presentation and you deserve a gift. So, my inner critic crusher blueprint is the gift. You can download it by scanning the QR code that I've included in the slide and work through it. There are places under each one of the steps for you to write out the narrative and the affirmations and all of that, and then you practice it, and in no time it becomes second nature and you can just commit it to memory. It's really to help you take this further. It's to help you use it and embody it. So I did want to talk to you briefly before I let you go about you having the power. Ultimately, this is merely one small step. There are ways to conquer the critic that are long term approaches. This is a short term, in the moment approach. I feel like it's almost like CPR for a decision that's about to flatline because of the constant interference and nagging of your inner critic. But the bigger picture is this: the reason why I even created Fierce Moose Coaching is I don't want any woman to be down a path, maybe years down a path she didn't choose, a path where all the decisions were chosen from her fears, from her inner critic, from her wounds. You deserve better. You deserve to embody the confidence and authenticity of the muse you are within and have her make all of the decisions professionally and personally, to have her lead. So I will leave you with one final question. Who would you be? How would your life be? What would your decisions be if you allowed your inner muse to make the decisions instead of allowing your inner critic to make them? You'd be unstoppable.
We hope you enjoyed this Slacker hack of the week. Remember, smart work beats busy work. Until next time, stay empowered, stay slacking. If you want to do a good deed of the day and help us grow the channel and bring you even more amazing content, leave us a comment, subscribe, leave us a review, do all the things. We'll see you guys next time.